news and notes from around the league.
Doesn't it just kind of feel like the regular season's coming to an end?
Yeah, we're getting there.
It's running down. We've got one week left for a lot of people. Lots of news. The big news this week is we want to know who's playing. We want to know who's playing and who's sitting and having to manage that. And hopefully your opponent has a lot of people who are sitting, and hopefully you've got some people that are playing. Bruce Arians said, hey, don't worry about the Cardinals. We're playing everybody. We're going all out to beat the Seahawks in Week 17. I don't have his quote in front of me, but it was something to the extent of, I don't think it benefits anything to sit anybody. So,
yeah, and that's his way. He's always been aggressive. What's his quote?
No risk it, no biscuit.
There you go.
So,
I love biscuits.
Expect your Cardinals to play. Dan Campbell said Ryan Tannehill's day-to-day should be ready to go in Week 17 if you're one of those family members of his that count on him in fantasy football.
Or a wife of a cornerback
that was
from the Miami Dolphins.
Ridiculous news, man. If you didn't see that, Brent Grimes' wife came out and just bashed Tannehill.
She's not too pleased with the play of Ryan Tannehill.
We don't need to get into that.
No, really nobody is pleased with Ryan Tannehill right now.
Especially you. You were one of the people that thought he would continue the career arc.
Yeah.
His career arc had been better every year until this year.
He bell curved already.
Yeah, he's done. Panthers coach Ron Rivera said Jonathan Stewart might be ready to play in Week 17 against the Bucs. It's interesting because they actually have something to play for now. You know, if they had locked up the first seed, you would probably not see him.
Correct.
Now we have to pay attention to it, monitor it, and see what happens. I believe, and I said this after the show yesterday, I believe the biggest impact to their game this past week was not having Jonathan Stewart. You know, the zone reads don't work when, one, you're not confident enough to call them because you're worried about fumbles or whatever takes place with an inexperienced running back. And, you know, two, if you don't have an effective running game, and they don't respect Cameron Artis-Payne the way they do Jonathan Stewart. Fozzy Whittaker is now out with an injury. And so I think them getting Stewart back is key to their offense, and so we'll see what happens. It probably has an impact on Cam Newton in Week 17 as well.
And the Cameron Artis-Payne here could get a big bump with, like you mentioned, Fozzy Whittaker, a high ankle sprain. So he's likely out. I personally don't expect to see Jonathan Stewart this weekend. So
and they play Tampa.
Who's left? Who's left? I mean,
in Carolina.
Tolbert and Artis-Payne.
Yep. For those with Dynasty League thoughts about Calvin Johnson considerations, there are opinions around Detroit that he will stay with the Lions next season. We know the cap number is going to be big, but we've seen this with Larry Fitzgerald.
Yeah, but
if he's willing to take less money to be there, to stay there, to be part of that community, there are a lot of reasons to stay. So we'll see what happens with Calvin.
He's definitely going to have to take
yes
a lower contract. His cap number is over 20. I mean, it's way too large.
I'll say this. The fantasy owner wants him to stay in Detroit. That's
Stafford?
the truth. Yeah, because if he goes someplace else, he's not going to be as effective. He's not going to be as good. We've seen this too many times with receivers at this age.
You don't want him to Andre Johnson?
Or Greg Jennings or, you know, anybody that you just go and get into a new system, new quarterback. I mean, he's got this rapport. They have the goal line plays. I think the fantasy owner probably wants him to stay in Detroit.
I would agree.
But he's got to be healthy. Let's see here. We talked about it. Fozzy Whittaker, high ankle sprain, should be out. Jay Glazer is saying Brock Osweiler will start the rest of the season. It's been a rough second half for Peyton Manning. You have had injuries, the lack of performance on the field, the team fighting to make the playoffs. Then this oddball report comes out about HGH, assuming he's telling the truth about that. He's okay. But if he's not, even a worse ending to this career.
Well, I mean, that's not really our forte is to get into that kind of stuff. But
Al Jazeera is not on our
But, I mean, allegedly, the source has already recanted the story of some. It's a mess. It's a mess, and there's probably a lawsuit coming for somebody.
Yeah, it's possible. Also possible recantation was very expensive. You know, you never know what's going on around there.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, we've said it before, but we'll reiterate it today when we're thinking about Week 17. Jay Gruden said he needs to be smart about resting his players in Week 17, which means we don't expect to see any of the Redskins playing.
Means they're forfeiting.
Yeah, no one's going to play the game.
Like we don't have enough players. Sorry, guys. You got to go home.
I didn't see this report, but Drew Brees said he does not see a scenario in which he and Peyton are not on the Saints next year.
That's
Ooh.
good news for
Which
New
does,
Orleans.
Yes.
It's my belief that they will both be back. Tom Brady said the Patriots will go all out to secure home field in the playoffs. This is good news for Week 17. Brady Gronk owners
Yep. And Brandon LaFell
and
owners.
Steven Jackson owners.
Oh.
Brandon LaFell is he plays a bit part now.
He's on the field.
Yeah, for about one catch.
That's what we can say for LaFell.
He had an okay game two games ago, but last week not good. AJ McCarron, MRI on his arm. If you watched the game last night, it was another, we've had a lot of competitive Monday Night Football games. I think they said 13 of the games have been 8 points or less, and there's been several overtime games. Pretty incredible, but they lost. He came out. He looked good.
He looked great.
You see this so much, though.
Yeah.
It's just one of the trends
do.
you see. It's we script our first 20 plays, and things are going according to plan, and the defense adjusts, and then now we have to adjust, and now we have to execute a play we didn't think about practicing or scripting out. And the defense, you're at home, the crowd's going insane, and you've got some pretty good defensive linemen coming in your face by the end of that game.
Cold weather, great defense, bad combo.